Hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome to this finale of VtM Montreal Black Pentecost. This is the finale of this series, but don't worry, there are plenty of series coming up behind it. Tons of really good stuff coming up. As always, over here, we like the vampires. We like to take a bite out of the night, and well, we continue to do so over here. A couple of shout outs before we begin tonight. As always, thank you to Raven Sarah, Best Mod. Thank you so much, Raven. We really appreciate you. Thanks for being here and helping out all the time. You are very beloved over here. I would also like to shout out the music for tonight is from Carl Casey primarily, but we will have one track in there of by Tim over at TTA. So do check out those fantastic creators. Their links are over yonder on the chat. As we begin tonight's finale of our episode, of our series, sorry, or this season. There'll be another season if people survive, which, you know, they got to meet the prince tonight, so we'll see how that goes. You never know how these things go. But let's talk about true love for a moment. Everybody okay with that? A little true love? Everybody love true love? The devil is there now. Been there half an hour, watching me through the window. He never leaves. He's waiting till I exit the door, and at that moment he will get me. To the nearest tree we'll go with barbed wire and those little hook-like things that he likes so much. Then he'll do things to me, such horrid little things, frightening, scary things, because he says he loves me, and that this is just real love. No one believes me. They all say I'm crazy, so I'm waiting myself, and I'm hoping for an angel. The one that's supposed to guard me, to come on down from heaven on high with those massive wings, translucent and glowing. He'll carry a massive sword, and with two mighty powerful hands, he'll take that sword, and from head to toe, he'll cleave the demon down there into two perfect halves. I'll watch as it crumples to the ground, then over its dead body, I'll embrace that angel. I'll surrender myself, right then and there. I'll bring that angel down to earth. To the nearest tree we'll go, with barbed wire, and those little hook-like things that I like so much. Then I'll do things to him, such horrid little things, frightening, scary things, because I love him, and this is just real love. My friends, you had a bit of a day last time. All of you were on a mission, task, job for the prince, and your job was to corral a number of people, some artists, others were more of the collector variety, to bring together to create this art festival that the prince wanted you to create. Things went off the rails pretty quickly, and they continued to go off the rails pretty much all through the last few nights as you attempted to bring this together. And finally, last night, things really took a turn. And now the prince has called you all to attend him. In fact, it's not the prince who called you. It's the sheriff, or the peacekeeper, as he's called in this town. Position that includes both the sheriff position and the position of keeper of Elysium. So, got a lot of important duties, this Mr. Stokes, and he went ahead and got in touch with all of you last night. Before we get to that, just before we get to Mr. Stokes and his invitation to see the prince, more words of wisdom. In Christian mythology, the Pentecost celebrates the visit from the Holy Ghost upon the apostles, a moment of clarity, epiphany, and grace from God. Nowadays, epiphanies, moments of clarity, are rare and they tend to come too late. That's because we're now confronted with entire engines of obfuscation. Back in Jesus Christ's day, all we really had to worry about was one fella, the devil. And in hindsight, he might not even have been such a bad omen after all. Maybe all he sought to do was break some chains, offer some clarity of vision. But now there's a whole apparatus out there dedicated to hiding the truth from us, and this apparatus has many institutions and administrations and vox machinae whose sole purpose is to prevent epiphanies, or at least delay them beyond usefulness. Even for us monsters, those who divide those below, for none have truly improved on the old divide and conquer tactic, we're separated into sects, clans, coteries. The Sabbat in Quebec City look down upon us here in the Camarilla. Their adherence to a carefully constructed and opaque code, laws made by those who benefit from them, keeps their baser numbers hungry and stupid and willing to gnaw their own arm off for the cause. Meanwhile, in Montreal, the clans are divided, those above and those below. An arbitrary and inconsequential difference. Fucking stairs go both ways, and those who know how to walk both up and down don't fear being ostracized or ghettoized. It's only those who find comfort in their ghetto, who find comfort in martyrdom and hatred, who refuse to learn to use stairs properly. Tonight is Pentecost night in Montreal, a black Pentecost for the tongues of fire, the Holy Spirit. The catharsis descends upon instruments of the night, beasts with barely contained bloodlust churning in their bellies. Tonight, I watch from their dreams as they, the witch, the priest, the heartbreaker, and the hunger, come to the realization that not only is the night darker, not only is the world bigger and filled with more danger, not only are they barely in control of their own destinies, but their lives are more intertwined than ever they believed. The web is woven, night descends. Death dreamer sleeps and dreams dreams no mortal ever dared dream before. A call came in. It was Stokes. "The prince requires your presence. Shall I send the car?" And specifically to Olivier. "And bring the painting. Don't make me go get it."
Why not? You afraid to stretch your legs?
You all make your way to the prince's abode. As per the invitation, the Tremere Regent goes with you, Elise. He's been invited also. No foofs tonight. No goth or punk bar. You're in the penthouse. Most of the kindred in the city call it the Overlook. It's the penthouse where Prince Van Horn and the prince before her, her sire Renaud, hold court at the very, or held in the case of Renaud, hold court at the very top of 1000 de la Gauchetière, the highest building in the city. Its angular glass roof is ubiquitous in the skyline and stands out among the other less refined and more brutish buildings, and as such has become a symbol for the city, which has always been more elegant and pleasant than the province in which it is mired. But its aesthetic beauty is far from your mind as you stand now beneath its slanted glass rooftop. The upper floors of the building have been transformed into a vast meeting hall where the elders of the city come together during Primogen meetings. You can see the ancient table carved from rich redwood and the leather-bound high-backed chairs that surround it. There are 8 chairs, plus one for the prince, a reminder that there were once many more kindred in the city. Many of them, including most of the elders, are now gone. To some, this may seem a dire warning, a sign of the end times, but to others, it may smell of opportunity. But that whiff of opportunity soon turns to a stench, as you see Soriana Indigo, the ministry member who embraced Maria, Sister Fallacy, hanging from the ceiling. Her arms in a cross held by chains, her beautiful bespoke body wrap ripped to expose her chest, where a stake, a branch of what appears to be northern red oak to a trained eye, sticks out of it, the red leaves swaying gently. At her feet, her oversized wide glasses are crushed and broken. Prince Van Horn herself now waits for you, framed by the 50 feet tall windows that look out onto the mountain. The cross there burning bright, the light cutting through the darkness, a not so subtle reminder of the crucifixion and its fatal effect. You notice that while she's sipping something that smells incredible and full-bodied from a simple metal cup, she doesn't offer you any, nor are there any servants around. But Stokes is there, the peacekeeper, as are a half a dozen of his men, no doubt, though you can't see them right now. Narcisse is lying on the floor at his feet, unmoving, flanked on either side by Stokes' two Gould Doberman pinchers, Miles and Coltrane. Stokes lights a cigar and puffs on it extravagantly, then leans back, his eyes burning brighter than the tip of his smoke. No doubt you've stepped in it, and the big boys want you to know that it's a bad one. As you approach, Van Horn is dictating something to a ghoul. And tell them the pact for Côte des Neiges Cemetery has been in place longer that either of them or I have been here, and if he, the Silver King, and she, Kavanaugh, want to renegotiate that particular treaty, we're going to revisit the entire compact and see how much blood it takes to rewrite the whole thing. Send that tonight via Tenebris. The ghoul nods and with nary a glance your way exits. Explain, Prince Van Horn says without turning to face you, though you can see her face in the reflections in the glass. It's cold and impassive. The glass and her face. What do you do?
We're all there?
You're all there.
Nice. Waiting for anyone to say anything.
I think Lila is very taken by the other people that she's, part of this coterie but never really interacted with.
No one's gonna say anything.
My prince.
All right.
My prince, this art. You needed us to find artists when you can create such wonderful works of art yourself. This is amazing.
You quite
He's just
done,
standing
Father?
there. He's just standing there in awe of the crucifixion. Just.
We'll see how long it lasts. Soriana's gonna stay there with that stick in her heart until every single leaf on that branch has fallen. And only then will I remove it from her chest.
And what will happen to the girl she made?
Well, that will depend a lot on what you tell me tonight. Because I've had reports, I've had news and information, but I'm interested to see how the dots connect, and I'm also interested to see in whether or not everyone is telling the same story. So feel free to entertain me anytime any one of you wish to open up about any of the things that have been happening. I'll be more than happy to listen.
Fully aware that the prince's back is turned, Arkham raises his head and he goes, "Can I ask a question before I begin to groveling?"
Of course, Arkham, you can ask a question.
Thank you, Almighty Prince. Can you remind us what you asked of us before all of this started, please?
I get a feeling I know where you're going, Arkham, with this particular question. If I am being informed correctly, you used the same tactic with Stokes, somehow trying to make it seem as if what you did was exactly what I asked you to do, when clearly you know that's not what I asked you to do. At no point did I tell you to kidnap a bunch of humans, kill someone's ghoul, kill a whole bunch of other humans, breach the masquerade. No, I asked you to bring together a group of artists and to curate an exhibit for me, for the city. And if at any point in time any of those instructions led you to believe that I wanted you to fuck around with the masquerade and people's lives as much as you have, then maybe, just maybe, English is not your forte.
To be fair, the ghoul was already dead when we got there.
I'm aware.
Okay, just yeah.
I'm aware
So
that the
masquerade-
ghoul was Sister Fallacy's doing, and even though I had the Brujas on the line, because apparently that ghoul belongs to one Fiona Saif, a member of Ben Sabourin's Bruja in the underground, and she's screaming blue buddy fucking murder at me about her ghoul being killed by someone up here. The fact remains that there were several other things that happened that night, but we were just getting started. It was just the first night. It was just the aperitif.
Masquerade notwithstanding, I'm more than responsible for my breaches in that I do feel what I personally did was exactly what you were asking for.
Oh,
You wanted, if I may, Prince.
yeah, please.
I
I love gymnastics, and I can't wait to see what kind of gymnastics you're going to pull out to try and explain this.
Absolutely. Well, you asked for an eclectic collection of an example of Montreal's power under your representation. There were hoops, there were leaps and bounds that needed to be taken. And yes, gymnastics did ensue, but I feel as though that we as a group curated exactly what you asked, not in a more direct approach, not in a festival approach, but we did showcase a beautiful creation of art and power. Yes, I did break the masquerade, and yes, I will take my fault in that. But under your tutelage, your guidance, and your strength, I was able to procure every single thing that you wanted, and then some, in a display of orchestral magnitude. There is no question of how strong you are based on what I and all of us have been able to discover and provide. Again, this is no excuse for the breaches, and I will take my punishment for that. But what I will not apologize for is the art that I procured and created. I'd like to have my gold medal now.
Father, I understand that there are a lot of things about the Malkavians that we tend to not understand very well. However, I fail to see how I could have misunderstood the fact that apparently Arkham Olivier is a member of your clan and not mine, because this explanation of his has me wondering whether or not he has been touched by Malkav himself.
My prince, while I cannot exactly hypothesize on that, there is an old saying, and while it's not biblical, which I'm more or less known for spouting off in times of this particular nature, he is very actively not looking her in the face the entire time that he's talking. Something omelets and eggs, and what an omelet he provided. Right?
I failed to see what omelet we have, because what I wanted was something that we could display to the entire world, and feats of vampiric prowess are in fact the very, very last thing we want to display to the world. So, again, with feeling this time, explain to me how you have provided me with what I asked for.
You have art. Your vision of the things that you wanted, the style, I think that's what it's called, Arkham, correct? The style was very much met with the combination of blood and death sex, religion. God knows I was present for all of those in times when I really truly did not wish to be. And we have met your requirements, though you did tell us in your own way that you trust us to produce, and we did produce. However, our methodology may not necessarily have been the best, I admit, and we are not without fault there, but I mean, not everything can be a Bob Ross painting, right?
And what's more punk rock than cracking a few eggs there, Prince? Come on.
I mean, he has a point.
I don't know.
Let's review the things you were laying here in my feet tonight. We have one person embraced. One of the artists that I wanted has been embraced. One is dead. One has been traumatized. A few have been kidnapped. Gehenna may be upon us. The human governments certainly are. And you think that somehow all of this is going to go unnoticed. All of this is going to just be swept under the rug as, oh, they were making art. Lila, anything to add? Can you make sense out of any of this for me?
Well, I think you know my thoughts on the matter. I think I've been quite thorough about my thoughts on the matter, actually.
Mm-hmm. I still have to air them, if you don't mind.
I think that I was brought in to fix problems, and I've done as best I can, but you did drop me in a pile of shit. The best I can do is come out smelling like the rose I am, but what you gave me to work with was, it left much to be desired, my prince.
And what about you, little dark fairy? And Fletcher, if you fucking open your mouth to talk for her, I'm going to take your tongue out, I'm going to wrap it around your head 7 times, and I'm going to pin it there. We're going to have ourselves a nice little game of pin the regent's tongue. I'm asking her, not you.
It's okay. I'm a big girl. I can talk for myself.
Show me.
Well, I don't think Maria was our fault now, was she? And she looks up to Indigo. If anything, we was doing you a favor. Cleaned it up, if I remember. Of course, you know, there was a ghoul lost in the process, but again, you wouldn't know that if it wasn't for me. At least not preemptively. With the twins, well, I was trying to save them. When we got there, they knew something already. So, an occurrence happened. We tried to get them out. I had to do what I did to save the girl. You did say that you wanted them alive.
It's generally difficult for artists to perform when they're dead.
I would assume so. Yeah.
Unless one has a Giovanni handy. As far as Soriana goes, Soriana had my permission to make a child. The only problem was she had not discussed with me who she wanted to embrace. After we had a little discussion before I planted that tree branch in her chest, she explained to me that she panicked when I asked the lot of you to go and talk to Sister Fallacy and embraced her, fearing that she might lose her to me. Now she's going to hang there for a little while she reflects on the wisdom of her choices. As far as Maria goes, Sister Fallacy herself, I've thought about it. I've wondered what to do. I did give permission to Soriana to embrace, so she'll be going back to Soriana in time, but as you can see, Soriana is otherwise engaged for the moment. Arkham, you're going to take Maria.
I'm sorry, what?
You're going to take Maria, Sister Fallacy. You're going
Where?
to take her.
Where?
You're going to take her. She's to be delivered by the chantry, Portweth. You will take her until Soriana has reflected on her actions. All of Maria's faults, all of her mistakes, all of her comportment, any problems caused by her or arising from her, you will be responsible for personally. It will be as if you yourself did those things. Any success she may achieve in the meanwhile, because I hear that she is still in possession of her talents, any success that she achieves in the meanwhile will be attributed to her rightful sire, Soriana. Imagine, if you will, that you are a child, a student, and that you are given an egg, and you're told to care for it and not break it for a few weeks. A child's task. For a child. Perhaps you and Maria can learn from each other how one behaves in kindred society. Did you bring the painting?
Yes.
I will have it.
Okay.
Now.
Oh, it's fine. Yeah, okay, I'll go get it.
You bring the painting. She takes it from you, unwraps it, looks at it again. Both Lila and Arkham, you are quite taken by it. The prince, too, seems to be very much taken by it. As she is looking at it, she says, Narcisse is too well connected to simply disappear. He has too much influence and power to be given to a child. Their memory will be erased by someone who knows how to do it well, and they'll be returned to their life, never to be approached by any of you ever again. A word of warning. Narcisse may be human, but they have connections, the kind of connections that give even a prince pause. Leave them be. And as she says this, she puts her hand on the painting, and any of you who have Spirit's Touch will understand that that's what she's using right now. And as her hand moves over the painting, over the destroyed face of the woman in the painting, along the edges, her eyes close, and she takes the painting, and there's an easel that has been prepared nearby, and one of the ghouls brings it, and they place it under Soriana, and she puts the painting on it. Perfect. I will now ask all of you, unless you have anything you wish to add, I will ask you to return to your havens. I will ask you to behave. I will ask you to stay as far away as you can from anything I attempt to do in the future concerning this exhibit, which, well, let's face some facts, is at this point probably not going to happen, which disappoints me greatly. But Arkham's mental gymnastics aside, do not for 1 second believe that you have not failed me utterly. Oh, Lila. I've been meaning to tell you. It's been several years since we've had someone occupy the position of Harpy. I think given the recent events that reminding people of why good behavior and status matters in our society might just be what we need. And I think you'd make a wonderful Harpy. I hereby grant you the status of revered and trusted. Go and get a little black book or something and start keeping notes. We're going to be teaching people to behave.
It would be my honor.
I'm sorry. What was that?
Oh, I said it would be my honor.
Unless any of you have anything you would like to add. Regent, I'll expect Maria to be delivered to Arkham sooner rather than later.
I think Elise turns to Fletcher and he can see the sadness in her face when she does so. She can't really take her, can she? So whisper to him.
He just reaches out and takes your hand and gives it a little squeeze, and he says, "Is the prince. What the prince wants, the prince gets." And he bows to her with his head. "That's all, my prince." She turns over and starts looking outside again. He looks at you and gives you a little wink. He'll pull you by the hand and take you back to the elevator. What are the rest of you doing?
I think Lila is holding the little black book that she found in her sire's apartments and considering some of the other information that she has, but recognizes maybe this isn't the time and place, and she looks up at the crucifixion there and just sort of smiles up at it and maybe gives it a little jaunty wave.
Father Arkham?
I think Alex looks over to Arkham and pats him on the shoulder. Even Joseph was blessed with a child that wasn't his own.
Fuck off. As soon as there's the notion that we can leave, I think Arkham tries to be the first one to get back to his car. Just leaving in a huff.
No problem. There are several elevators. A lot of you go down, find cars waiting for you in the parking garage downstairs. What do you do? Where do you go? What would you like to do? Would you like to say anything? Do anything? The floor is yours.
I think if the father sees Lila, so you were just holding the fruit the whole time.
Holding the fruit?
Mm-hmm.
In what way?
Did you, by chance, egg Arkham to make yourself look better? To cause him to commit sin?
Me. I assure you it was thoroughly unnecessary this time.
Mm.
I assume you've met the man.
Oh, I have.
Then you know.
But nonetheless, congratulations on your elevated status within the city.
Well, thank you.
I hope to see you at Wednesday Mass.
I doubt it, but I will see you around, I'm certain.
You might like it. It's rather carnal.
I prefer tragic. But you'll let me know if you've got any really sad ones up your sleeve, Father?
Oh, I've got a whole harem of them.
Well, that is delightful, actually.
Wednesday service.
I shall make note of it. And she taps her little black book.
As you're doing this, the Regent and Elise coming up behind you, the Regent says, Madam Harpy, I was wondering if I could ask you exactly what did happen. We, of course, know what transpired with the twins, he says, shooting the father a little sidelong glance. But what exactly
smiles real big.
What exactly happened with you in Arkham?
I suppose the temptation was just too much. The art was overwhelming for him, and then I will say the art collector's people were quite rude, as was the collector himself. I didn't need to goad anyone. The humans did it enough for everyone. But it was quite messy, and all you can do in that sort of situation is try and clean it up.
Well, that's appropriately vague.
Well, your question was also rather vague. Did you have any specifics you were after?
I was trying to understand, one, whether or not there would be repercussions from this if Masquerade was breached to such an extent. And two, I was curious about that painting.
Yes. How did Arkham get it?
Well, the man inside Narcisse had it in his possession. And he was in search of a more completed painting of the same subject. And then there were cameras. There were impressive deaths. We must give Arkham that. He is truly an artist. That said, we were able to track down the files, or at least where the files were stored, and took those and gave them to Stokes for proper disposal.
You got those from the cloud also, I assume?
I have no idea about how that works. But that's why I contacted Stokes on the way back, just to try and take care of the things that I could take care of myself and reach out to those who can do better than I can. But yes, from there, the poor man had already seen us tear people, like I say us, Arkham, tear people limb from limb. So I did have to take some control of the situation, and the painting was simply there for the taking at that point.
You said there was another one.
I did.
What do you mean by this?
So as you saw, the painting in there had no face.
Strange.
I agree. Beautiful nonetheless, however. But there was a painting that I had some interest in. A work by Henry Holiday. And Narcisse in there mentioned that a La Sombra art dealer down in Ville-Marie, Vico, I believe it was, might have some additional works of interest, including the finished version with the face.
The face of the woman in the painting.
That was Narcisse's great interest in it, yes.
Interesting. I think I'd like to see it when you find it.
Well, we can always go together.
I don't get out much. Could be interesting.
I'm new in town, so I could use a guide.
Tell me, why are you so interested in the painting?
The painting I'm looking for has a great deal of tragedy baked into it, which is my special interest, of course. But it also is supposed to have sort of a restorative property for love in general. A slightly cursed restoration, to be sure, but aren't all the best ones slightly cursed.
Fascinating, I'm sure.
Well, if the two of you decide to go art shopping, sure to let me know.
Oh, would you like to come along?
Of course.
Yes. Would the Regent love to go to Ville-Marie? Yes.
Father. I wanted to apologize for the way I spoke to you the other night. I was worried out of my mind about Elise, and arriving to find the situation as it was, well, I'm sure you can understand that I was a little frazzled.
I would seem so. But Regent, you must understand, I would never allow harm to truly come to any child in my presence.
Good to know. I mean, you priests do have a very good reputation when it comes to children.
Yes, a gentle wrapping across the wrists is sometimes needed, but nothing more.
Just be mindful of whose child you wrap on the wrist. Some parents might not take it quite as well as others.
Well, that's why the Lord put us here, to correct that education for the children.
Did the Lord put us here?
He did.
He did,
As a
did he?
matter of fact. And he opens up this fucking ancient-looking Bible with yellowed pages. Would you like to hear the story of Genesis?
Not at all. Thank you very much.
Oh.
Come on, Elise. We have
Yes.
we have a guest to see off.
Don't remind me.
Oh, no. The
But it
princess
does
is
seem
sad.
much better than the wagging of this priest's tongue.
Indeed. Miss Thorpe, it would be a pleasure to receive you for dinner some night if you are interested.
Stop that, Kurt.
I would be delighted. And I think Lila is watching Fletcher and the way he interacts with Elise and just like very laser eyes on this, just like taking in every detail of it. So fascinated.
It's literally like a man and his cat. It's literally what it is. It wanders off a little bit and he just grabs it and pulls it back.
I mean, I've seen precious few cats on leashes, but also obviously, Lila has some sire issues and is delighted watching the interaction between these two.
They will get in their vehicle. What will the rest of you do? I'll get to you in a moment, Ian.
I think the father waits until Lila leaves, or if she has anything else to say.
Yeah, I think Lila will just give him one last, such a pleasure, father, and get in her car. And she'll let her assistant know that she will be keeping that meeting that was penciled in for the evening.
Excellent. I'll make reservations.
Goodbye, Harpy.
So as Harpy, just so you know, Maria, as Harpy, you now depart a strip status from other kindred. If you do this too much without good reason, it can backfire, but that is a power you now have. Yeah, thank you, Bull, for the night moves, and everyone got a night move from No Time for Bull. So thank you very much, Bull, and thank you, Lummox, for the hail. So, Arkham, tell me, what's going on in Arkham World?
I don't know if we have enough time, Bleak. I think in this situation, he didn't stay around to discuss anything with anybody. He just kind of like a beeline to his car, and he just peels off in this erratic way. In the car, like he's very much so yelling in there. He's like
In his Audi.
In his Audi, right? He's definitely yelling about the entire situation, but the biggest thing right now is Lila and their new station. And that's really tap dancing on whatever nerve that he has left. And in that moment, complete regard leaves his thoughts, and he calls Constance.
The phone rings but once, sir.
Hi. Oh, okay. I hope your evening is fine. I really don't care. We have a problem. Huge problem. Apparently now I'm a babysitter, right? For someone. So that's a thing. But the biggest problem is now our friend Lila. I need you to do me a favor. I need you to set up a... Gosh. I so wish it was that easy.
Well,
No,
we could
our friend
contact the
now-
Banu Hakim. I understand that there is one in Montreal somewhere in Ville Marie.
Constance, I don't pay you enough. Let's hold off, but let's keep that
We'll
as,
put a pin in it for
as
now.
a fact. But what I do need for you to do, Constance, is I need you to contact somebody tonight. I need to see them or hear from them tonight. Apparently there is some art dealings that's to be had, and I would like to take care of that before the rest of them see it. Whatever this person wants, find a way to give it to them, but I want this collection that our friend and new Harpy would like.
Do we have a name?
Oh, yes, and then I give them the
name
whole
that
exposition.
Arkham remembers, but Ian doesn't.
Yeah,
I
think it's
assume
like-
you're talking about the painting that she wants to acquire that some La Sombra in the Undercity wanted. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm referring to. And he's just like losing it while driving.
His name is Vico.
See, I was thinking Vicon, so good thing I got it wrong. Yeah.
No problem, sir. Can do.
Perfect. Whatever needs to happen, I would really like to have that in our possession. They can have this car for all I care. I don't. I really need that.
Very well, sir. So we're giving away the kitchen sink and the baby, but we're getting that painting.
Give the baby, keep the sink.
Excellent. Is there anything else I can do for you right now to help alleviate some of this distress you appear to be feeling, sir?
I have to make it home to receive a package. Trust me. If I didn't, there would be a lot of things that I would ask of you right now, Constance. Please see that we do get that painting. Also, do we have any contacts that are really good at breaking and entering?
I believe that can be arranged. I don't believe we have anyone on the payroll, but I know people who know people, so to speak.
Please, as far as disconnected from the two of us as you possibly can would be beneficial. I need someone to take a visit to Mr. Narcisse's penthouse and turn it upside down. I'm looking for anything, mainly financial contacts, personal connections, anything that would make somebody go, And
Was
I'd
that a
also like
reference
have
to a
that.
pop song, sir?
It was. Good. Constance,
well.
you've been listening to my playlist. Beautiful.
I'm getting hip, sir.
It's hip to be square. Anyway,
I'm tragically
if we
hip.
could, I'm looking for any deep contacts. And if it has to get messy, that's fine. Just make it look like it was a toss-up, but don't kill anybody. But if we can be discreet,
Sir,
that would be nice.
discreet's not my middle name. My middle name is Hortons. However, it might as well be discreet.
I'll make sure to update your W-2s. And Constance, whatever you personally need, you know how to obtain it. Make sure that you're well taken care of.
Sir, my pleasure, sir.
Let me see. You know what, Constance? Swing by later. We'll have a chat.
Music to my ears, sir.
Okay, I'm going to try not to crash this car. Goodbye! And he just hangs up.
Where do you go?
He originally was going to go to Narcisse's penthouse and see what that is, but he prefers to have that done by the scrubs. I think he drives to Maria's apartment, penthouse, where we first met her, and we saw that. And he wants to see if it looks like it's been taken care of or not, or if it's blocked off or anything. And if it's not, he would like to go in.
Okay, so you're heading there. No problem. Maria, where is Lila heading off to?
So Lila has an appointment. She will be heading to, let's see. So sorry. Bar Le Mal Nécessaire.
Le Mal Nécessaire? Which translates to the necessary
evil.
Excellent. And what is the good father doing?
I think he boards the black bus. He wishes to see the gray one.
Ooh, going to the Grey Nuns, is he? And on the car back, so we'll get to that momentarily. On the drive back, Elise, Fletcher will say, I understand that you're upset about losing Maria. We're going to have to do that thing we planned much more quickly than I anticipated. In fact, probably tonight I expect to need Maria's help for it. And so I think we'll need to get this done tonight. As far as Maria goes, this situation with Arkham can only be temporary. He's gonna fuck it up somehow. I also can't quite see the prince letting her go back to Soriana once Soriana comes off the tree. One ministry is more than enough in the town, so we'll see what we can do. We have some.
Do you think that they'll take Laurence too?
didn't say anything about Laurence. I think at this point the prince is notoriously fickle. I think she's probably already kind of moved on from this whole plan of hers, and I don't think we need to worry about it too much. However, there's something else we're going to need also, and as he says that, the car pulls up and stops, and you realize that you've driven up to the Mélange Magique, the occult shop where you had met Marjolaine that night. You see her standing on the steps of the store.
I think she instantly perks up a little.
I've been thinking about how the symbols are all gathering on your body, and I think that there is this indication of all these people being drawn to you now for a reason, and we've lost one, but, well, we at least have a few of them. I think it would be prudent to have them with us when we do the ritual. The more of them we have, the better. So I took the liberty of arranging for Marjolaine to join us also, if that's okay with you, of course.
7 keys. 7 people.
We don't quite have 7 yet, but we'll make do with what we have. And just hope that it's enough.
I saw them all. I saw them when I drank the twins' blood. They were all there around me. Heard their names. The twins. Marjolaine. Maria. The Headless Man. An art collector.
The art
The
collector.
Ashen Crow.
The Ashen Crow. The art collector would be Narcisse, the Ashen Crow, and the Headless Man. Any idea who those would be? Did you see anything? Did you see them?
I don't know, but when we were in the apartments, the place where we got the twins, we were trying to leave, and then there was a skylight. I could hear like thunder coming from it. It was horrible. Great big black birds fell from the sky, Fletcher. You know it's a bad omen when blackbirds fall dead before you.
When I went to get you before the good father got all holy and righteous on me, I could tell that there was something there. There was something else there with you. Some kind of lingering spirit. From what I saw quickly of the place, I get the feeling that one of the twins or both were into something they maybe shouldn't have been into. They might have contacted something they shouldn't have contacted. I get the feeling. I'm sorry?
The dead brother. He saw things. Something came to him in his dreams, is what Laurence said. He talked to the father's shadow. Why would he do that? Strange. Talking to shadows.
It's too bad we don't have them anymore. Is the father... Can't believe we're calling him that. Has he been problematic with you before, or is this a new thing?
I mean, we do a bit of bickering back and forth, but something strange happened that night. I don't know if he touched my mind, but I didn't like it. He said words to me, stopped me in my tracks, made me feel strange, made me feel compulsions I don't like to feel. Perhaps it was just things he said, or more, I can't tell.
Well, it's done now. We'll keep an eye on him. One more question before we go. The painting the prince had tonight.
You know that painting. I remember it like it was yesterday. And I think she reaches out and touches his face.
His look softens as he feels your hand on his skin, and he says, "The prince knows now also. She saw it when she touched the painting."
Yes, she did. But she didn't say anything.
The prince was brought up at the court of François Villon, the Prince of Paris, which is renowned for intrigue and treachery of all sorts. I'm certain that she's a little more wily than she lets on. When I say that I think there might be some room to negotiate for Maria, it's because I think the prince has something else on her mind. Which is why she didn't say anything tonight. But now if Lila is interested in the other painting, do you think that that has anything to do with you?
Yeah, I do. I think we need to get our hands on that painting. I think it's very important.
One thing at a time. Let's get this ritual done and figure out what's going on with all of that, and then once we're sorted on that, we'll figure out the art.
Very well.
He rolls his window down and gestures, and Marjolaine comes in and gets into the car with you. He's like, "I believe you two know each other."
I told you I'd come back.
She seems a little nervous, but she gives you a smile that you feel is very genuine. "I've been waiting."
That's a good girl. Shall we go home now?
Let's. We have a lot of work to do. Padre. For several centuries, the Order of Grey Nuns in Montreal has helped the poor and needy, the sickly, the abandoned children. Now their numbers are few and the halls are empty and echo as if with sounds from far away. This is where the Grey Nun, the eldest Malkavian in the city, still resides, within the walls of the order that she helped found hundreds of years ago. You are welcome without much fuss. Few are the nuns still in residence, and those who are here are always very busy. Many are old, very few, so very few are young. Somewhere in the distance you hear a child crying, a sound that soon turns to laughter and then abruptly stops. You see Sister Dufresne, one of the middle-aged ones, her soft features offset by a hard look in her eyes. She runs things over here for the old lady, and you can smell the ghoul on her from down the hall. Before you would have gone in, is there anything you would have wanted to do, or?
No, just the only thing he would have done is probably just make sure that he didn't have anything on him, smoothed out his clothing.
As you approach, Sister Dufresne says, "Father Dubois, what an excellent surprise. We always appreciate an unexpected visit from you, Father. Please tell me you spare a moment to enrich our sisters' lives with one of your famous sermons before you leave. Some of my sisters could use a little pep in their step."
I would be more than happy to, sister.
"Oh, it's so nice to see you. Will you walk with me?"
Of course. And I think he does. He walks at pace with her, just to the side of her.
"It's been quite a while since we've seen you here."
Yes, I've been tending to my flock a bit, and it's been difficult, especially being on summons to the prince.
Yes, well, sort of feels like that sometimes here, where you'd like nothing more than to lazy around in bed or something, but God calls and you have to go and take care of some children or make breakfast for the other sisters, or there's always something to do. Idle hands and all that.
Yes, indeed, idle hands.
But your hands are not idle, are they, Father? You keep busy. I keep hearing that the Church of St. James downtown is flourishing. Do you feel because of the quality of your preaching, or do you think that it's more so that society is failing the weak and poor among us more and more of them find themselves in need of the good Lord's word?
I find that the whores and the bastards are the ones who are most in need of God's loving touch.
Well, Jesus Christ did say so, Father.
That's correct. And where was he most often found? Amongst them. So, I go where I'm needed.
They're very lucky to have you, Father.
I would say so. So many have been absolved of the final sin. Though I am sad to see them go, there's always a new tainted one, lost soul, corrupted individual, seeking redemption before the final end.
That is the one good thing about the world we live in. It's producing sinners at a pretty alarming rate.
Well, business is good.
I know where you're coming from. You here to see the old lady?
Yes, I've encountered and seen some things that are unnecessarily mind-consuming. So I thought, why not have a little sit down, a little tea with the old crone and see what happens.
It's always most enlightening. She's in the crypt. She's been spending more and more time down there now. I wonder if she may not be feeling a little down.
I would say be careful with what you say, because when they get very sleepy, they can often wake up very, very hungry.
Well, I would not like to be a snack for the old lady, so I'll keep your words close to my heart. Which is where
Are
I
you
keep...
Are you
That's
kidding?
where I keep all the
Look at you.
butterflies.
Look at you, sister. What is it the kids say these days? You aren't a snack, you're a whole meal.
Oh, stop it, Father. You old devil, you. I know you're kind.
I bet you do. Now, where is she?
I'm sorry. You'll find her downstairs at the crypt. Right down these steps. I'm sure you know the way.
Down the steps, I believe you just told me, yes. Now, don't forget, once I'm done with her, you need to have all of those who wish to receive blessings and sermon gathered. I shouldn't be more than a couple of hours at most. I do find that the old nun can be quite intoxicating.
Oh, indeed. I'll make sure the rest of the sisters are like the pork roast. To be found in the cafeteria.
We need to work on your jokes, sister. But good effort, nonetheless.
Thank you, Father.
Yes. Don't forget your 5 silver.
I never would. Ta-ta! And she turns around and skips away.
Go with God, my spawn.
You walk down the stairs towards the crypt. See the old lady. Meanwhilest, over yonder, at a cocktail bar called Le Mal Nécessaire. The necessary evil. The bar has a bit of an old 1950s vibe. The place is dark, a little claustrophobic, with most of the lighting coming from the glowing tabletops. The conversations are quiet and guarded, and a piano player fills the spaces between them very tastefully. From round one of the massive columns, you spot Martin Guerre, the writer you are here to meet. The writer and philosopher, I should say, that you're here to meet. He's wearing a nice suit. He seems more like a young urban professional than the patches on the elbows and mussy hair image that the idea of a philosopher might conjure. He's reading a book with a red leather dust cover as you approach. What do you do?
I think Lila moves through the space very comfortably. Tasteful though the piano music is, that's about the only thing tasteful here, and she lives for the theatrical, kitsch of it. She's definitely going to pick up a drink that, when they serve it to you, it's on fire. And she'll move to the table carrying this. As
you receive your drink, you are heartened to find that the young couple next to you at the bar is apparently in the midst of a breakup.
I think she drinks that in a way that she will not be drinking any of this drink. But as delightful as that is, she hasn't caused it, and her attentions are currently elsewhere. So she's going to wander up to the table.
As you approach, he looks up. Miss Thorpe.
Mr. Guerre?
Yes, a pleasure to meet you. He gets up, puts his book down, extends his hand.
She takes it, carefully swapping the drink into a safe hand.
That's quite the concoction you have there. You're not afraid to set the whole place on fire. Please, let me help you. Let's put it down on the table before we injure someone.
Oh, of course. And so she will.
It's a pleasure to finally meet you. You look
indeed,
lovely.
Oh, thank you. And you look every bit as I would have imagined.
Oh, thank you. That's interesting. Usually people tell me the opposite. They say I don't look at all like what they expected.
Oh, they mustn't have met very many writers, I suppose.
I guess they still have ideas from the movies about what someone like me should look like. Maybe I should get myself a pipe and some round glasses and just sit in a big cardigan with the spots like the Charlie Brown or something, and just sit amongst a stack of books talking about Jung and Freud and all those people.
Well, we'll consider it for the very mysterious, I'm sure, author's photo that we'll need to include in the back of your books.
If we reach a deal.
Of course.
Tell me, Miss Thorpe. Why did you agree to come and meet with me? I understand that the little stories I've been writing on the internet have gone viral. Is that they've become viral, and they're. But I assume that this interest will pass. That it will be momentary, like when you are sitting in a bar and you see the most beautiful, exquisite creature you've ever seen, and for a moment you are completely in love and you're ready to set the world on fire for them, but then they disappear into the cloakroom or the bathroom and you never see them again, and by the next morning they are gone.
Well, you see, I have a habit of watching the exits, but that's the thing with stories, is they can fade. It's really all about the marketing, though.
and you are an
You
expert
can make
at
them.
that.
Oh, I am. My company is, in fact. I don't work alone. Who would have the time?
I would assume that you have a bevy of people working for you.
I do.
May I ask you?
They're all very good.
May I ask you a question?
Of course.
I assume you have read the stories.
I have.
Not my books, but the stories of Lady Hawk.
I've dabbled in a little of each.
Oh. You've read some of my other work also.
I have.
Well,
I will
that's
say it's not as much to my tastes, but I am a very focused individual.
I have found that the interest in Georges Bataille's work has definitely been ignited. I think more and more people are seeing in some of his work a very interesting take on the world as it has become today. But that is not what we are here to talk about. I would like to ask you the question that I ask everyone when it comes to these kinds of discussions, or especially the discussions about the stories that I write as Lady Hawk. What exactly is it about those stories that intrigues you personally?
For me, and I have to admit, I was delighted when I heard your last name. It means war, does it not?
Yes, it does. It does. Do you speak French?
I don't, but I do my research.
Mm.
What delighted me is the push and pull of it, the two sides of this Lady Hawk's story. She's so affected and so effective, and she's so much part of the story, and she carries it away with her, and is so deeply tragic. Regardless of what has happened, it's those final scenes where you see what your stories have left her with, what she carries with her. And I find myself very drawn to that seed of ever-deepening sadness.
You like the tragedy?
I mean, it is rather my calling card.
Indeed, and that is why I have had an interest in Demimonde publishing, and this is why I contacted you first before any of the others, even though I'm certain, I have many of them clamoring for the stories of Lady Hawk now, and I feel almost overlooked now that my own work is being surpassed by these dirty little stories that I write late at night on the internet when I get a little drunk.
Isn't that always the way? The artist can slave away for a year, and the thing they've drawn in 30 seconds is the thing that gets the attention.
It is indeed the way.
But there is something to be said for having an ocean of work, because there will always be the person who, at some point, realizes that there's more behind those tiny little pictures, and goes and finds the entire film.
And you have come to this realization?
I have. It's part of why I was drawn to Demimonde publishing.
Did you not build it yourself?
I took it over from another woman who had, but I've certainly made it my own.
Very good. Another question for you. Which of my story is your favorite? It helps me get an idea of the person I am talking to.
Well, I will say the latest one was fascinating. The one you sent me just the other day. The one with the twins.
Yes. It was a little risqué. A little different to put the story of this woman with these two twins having sex. The taboo of incest is still very strong today.
It is. And double the heartache, it must be said. Very attractive to me.
Indeed, how one of them ended up dying.
Tragically dying, yes.
And the other one had to feel both the pain of her brother dying and being abandoned by the Lady Hawk herself.
Indeed. Very effective.
My stories are a little strange. I don't always know where they come from. I will wake up in the middle of the night and have a fully formed vision of the story, almost as if a dream or something has come to me, and I see it all in so much detail, and writing them is really just a matter of sitting down for a few hours. The stories are so vivid.
It's a blessing, really. So many authors try staring at empty pages for days, weeks, months on end. When you've got a fully fledged story in your mind, well.
Some of the ones that I see sometimes are not as pleasant.
There is power there too, I suppose.
It can be the burden and the price. As you are talking to him, one of the things that I want to impress upon you is that he really appears very asexual. Like, he's handsome, he's wearing nice cologne, he's got all that stuff, but your practice eye realizes that he has basically almost no sexual response to anything. Even the compliments he's paid you were kind of very, performative.
Aesthetic.
Yeah. And you don't get a sense that it's because he might be gay, for example, or something like that. Like, you've seen a number of very attractive people of all stripes around you, and there's just really nothing sexual that emanates from him at all.
Fascinating.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No. I was just going to say, I think Lila notes this, but is not necessarily incredibly surprised because so many people who dabble in smut do it as a means of exploring something outside of themselves, things that they think they should be feeling or want to feel, but don't necessarily. So I think she's probably seen a lot of different stripes in this line of work.
Okay. As you are going on, you have a few drinks. It's quite pleasant conversation. He asks a lot of questions about you, and he seems to really kind of want to get to know you, or kind of get a really detailed portrait of you. And at some point, he says, "There's this quote I love very much, and I think it fits this." It's from a poem called Shadow and the Soul. "I love you as certain dark things are to be loved in secret, between the shadow and the soul." It's by Daphne Llewellyn. Have you ever read her?
I have. In fact, I believe some of her works are part of the library, as far as what Desdemona owns. An acquisition from my predecessor.
That's very interesting. If I were to be published by Desdemona, could I use some of these writings in my writing also? With a proper, how do you say? Yes.
Yes. As long as it's one of the works that are in the library. I'm not sure if there are any that are elsewhere, but certainly.
That is very nice. That is very nice. I think we may be able to come to some understanding before the evening is over. But first, a few more drinks, shall we? And perhaps not something that might set the place on fire. As he raises his hand and orders a drink, we are going to go on break, my friends. We return, my friends, having refreshed ourselves. We're here for the last part of this finale, but as I said before, rest easy. There'll be more to come down the line. We travel back across town a little bit to the home shared by the Regent and Elise, where you have been preparing, Elise, for this ritual that Fletcher has been wanting to try. So the idea here is that all of this began when Fletcher had unearthed these designs, these plans by a French mage called Toisechel from the 1500s in Montreal, and he had laid out this um, this plan for the city to be built along these strange kind of occult sites or something. There were 7 sites of power that he had found that he called Black Lodges, and he wanted specific parts of the city to be built over on these sites and what have yous. And Fletcher had in a ritual, a year-long ritual, tattooed your flesh. He has a special Tremere ritual that allows him to make tattoos and stuff permanent that include pouring molten silver into the wounds of the tattoo, and it makes them permanent even on vampires. And he'd spent roughly a year tattooing your body with these images, basically believing that through that and through the ritual magic that you two perform, that it would reveal something. The two of you are on a quest for something which we haven't really touched on too much, but will be revealed as we go along. And the idea was that this might lead to that. And what you've discovered is that these symbols did not represent places, or at least may have represented places in the beginning, but now represent people or rather ideas that are being embodied by people that exist right now in Montreal. So these people you've been trying to find, the twins, Maria, Marjolaine, Narcissus, all these different people are embodiments of ideas that this mage had kind of been toying with. And as these people got closer and closer to you, the tattoos on your body started moving and started amalgamating somewhere in the middle of your body. And there's a couple of outliers because there's a few people you haven't quite met yet. And now what Fletcher has discovered is this idea that perhaps making you the actual ritual rather than doing a ritual around with you might help you kind of understand this, what he figures is some sort of key or some sort of cipher that the mage has left behind. And so you have now gotten ready for this to perform this ritual that he's wanted to try, that he says is dangerous but might give you some answers. You overheard the other night Father Dubois tell Fletcher that his magic required fornication, with the same tone of voice that the deeply sinful used to castigate others to hide their own shame. Leave it to a priest to miss the point of sex. It's not about sex. It's never been about sex. The intimate contact, sometimes tender, sometimes violent, that accompanies yours and Fletcher's rituals has always been about, well, ritual. Some practitioners of magic chant or play an instrument. Some scar themselves, burn various herbs or incense. The goal is a ritual practice that acts as a focus. The joining, the transcendent moment of ecstasy, serves as a way to push out all extraneous thought, all disruptive distractions. It's about focus. It's about ritual. The pleasure is just an added bonus. With your followers or others you enact such rituals with, the power and focus varies. But with Fletcher, it's always been pure and elevated and overpowering. The two of you so in unison, so bound intricately to each other that the ritual reaches new heights. The care with which Fletcher prepares you tells you everything you ever needed to know about the depths of his devotion to you. You know he has researched this to within an inch of his life, of its life, and while it's dangerous and you know Fletcher is not afraid of danger, you know it's just this side of too dangerous, or he would never risk you for anything. You've helped prepare the ritual room, have luxuriated in his bathing of you, and now you lie naked and willing at the center of the ritual circle. Fletcher brings the ropes, meters and meters of carefully braided ropes, hundreds of years old, made of the finest human hair, woven and braided by some long-gone master rope weaver in some faraway place. You feel the weight of age and magic in each strand as the rope glides softly along your skin. You can tell he's never used these with anyone before. They were made for you. He begins to shape you, bending your body in ways that at first seem uncomfortable, but once bound, once your body settles into the shape and the ropes give you proper support, it becomes deliciously, painfully comfortable. He has bent and folded and bound and strapped you into a complex shape, your head and upper body angled slightly toward the ground. With every bend, every loop of the rope, every knot, you feel the intensity grow. Your focus narrows, and soon your world is the 7 points of pain carefully created by Fletcher. And the use of the ropes, the 7 points on your body, what Toisichet's symbols were. And that's what you have become now. A living, sentient, emotionally charged symbol, not the wankery of human hedge mages with their misunderstanding of stars and lines and geometric shapes, but a true symbol of power created by two masters. What's going through Elise's mind at this time? How is she feeling in this moment?
I think that she is just taking in every sensation as it breaks against her skin in waves. She is, again, like she did with the twins, giving herself to the current, to the ritual, emptying her mind and focusing only on the movements of Fletcher's very skilled hands in this moment, letting her thoughts wander occasionally to the 7 faces.
In the several mirrors that Fletcher has placed about the room, you see the symbols in your flesh, the ones Fletcher drew based on Toisichet's designs, have migrated, converged over your chest. The black ink completely transposed the silver trailing behind in waves. All but one last symbol, vaguely in the shape of a bird, still sitting far below on the top of your foot. You hang, suspended in pain and ecstasy as the ritual carries you to that other place where yours and Fletcher's soul exist entwined. It is exquisite, divine in a way the priests could never know. You have given all your trust to your lover, and he has repaid you by elevating you above him and making you the center of his world. Then, your perception shifts. You're in darkness. Soft, feminine hands begin to lower you, free you, unbind you. Your eyes open. There she is, the nun. And now you notice her face. It's Maria's face. She leans forward, kisses you, her habit rubbing softly against your nakedness, the heavy silver crucifix around her neck swinging back and forth, tapping gently against your throat. You're just in time, she says. She slips a thick cloak around your shoulders. Come. And she extends a hand to you.
She, with one hand, clutches that cloak at her throat, and the other slips into Maria's hand willingly.
And as you're guided away, Father Dubois, you go down into the crypt. You've been here before. Every time you come here, it gives you a bit of a chill. In the basement of the Grey Nun Mother House are the buried bodies of all the Grey Nuns who have died. As always. You feel their presence. Watching, listening. Hundreds of years of nuns' lives buried in this basement. You see her, the old lady. She's in the far corner in the dark, wearing the habit she would have worn several hundred years ago. She is talking. You know she's not talking to anyone who's there, but she's probably having a discussion with one of the nuns who's buried here. Then she stops. And she looks over her shoulder. Father! So nice to see you.
Matron Mother, it has been far too long.
Far, far too long. One moment. I have to go, Mary Beth. Yes, it's the father. No, he's dead. The other one. No, he's dead also.
Remember
Yes.
me, Mary? Remember? No? Oh.
She's not doing very well these days. It'll come back. It'll come back to you, Mary Beth. Don't worry about it. Rest your head. Rest your little head. Yes. Yes. All right. I will have her bring you some celery. Will that satisfy you? Good.
With
Sleep
peanut
well.
butter and raisins.
She scooches over and slips in between the crosses. She's a very frail little thing, very old, and this gray habit of hers, a little bent, a little twisted, but the light in her eyes is still as crazy as it's ever been.
How are you this evening?
Oh, I'm quite fine. I have to admit that I'm starting to envy my sisters here who are sleeping
Do you
so
wish to
deeply and
sleep?
profoundly.
Do you wish to sleep as well?
I've been thinking about it more and more.
Yeah?
I think I might like a little lie down, perhaps a few decades, wait to see if all of this madness going around passes us by.
Well, I don't think the madness is going to go away, but I do think that having a nice lie down, a little nap, might do you some good. You, no offense, do not think me saying anything ill, but you are getting on in years, and a little nap here and there is okay.
If nothing else, it would be good for my rheumatism, I think.
Very much so. Yes.
Will you have something to drink with me?
Of course.
And she takes your arm and you guide her to the back. There's a little elevator, like a little, an elevator that would have been used by, people bringing down these bodies or any of these things. It's not like a proper elevator. It's just kind of like a cargo thing. You guide her in there and you go up and she's just humming to herself. As you do, you realize she's humming some old hymn. And eventually she guides you into what would be her study on the top floor of the place. You remember coming here back in the early days, and the study was this very beautiful, elegant place. It had these very plush couches, rows upon rows of books, this big, beautiful desk with ornate carvings on it. And she had this immense office with all these fineries. And then in one corner, she had this tiny little card table with a little fold-out chair. That's where she used to sit and do all her work. This room used to be the priest's room who used to run the nunnery back in the day. And she, even though she was the matron of the place, she never felt comfortable using it. And as you walk into the room now, you realize that nothing has really changed. You see on her little card table, there's a little fold-out chair, and she goes behind the couch and she finds another little pull-out chair and brings it out to you. You can tell that she's been playing crib. You don't know who with, but the stuff is all on the table. And she sit, young man, sit. And then she goes over and brings a little carafe of something to drink with some glasses, and then puts it on the table next to you. You don't play, do you?
I've been known to play from time to time. The sisters in my convent have very much taken to cards, as they see it as a lesser sin, so to speak, gambling pennies here and there, but...
What good is that? I've always said, if you're gonna sin, you might as well sin all the way. What's the point of just half sinning and then getting all the guilt for it, but none of the entertainment?
Well, small steps for them, you know. Trust me, I believe that they'll be turning tricks within the decade. It'll be quite entertaining nonetheless.
Oh, I have full faith in you. You have certainly proven to be one of God's most resourceful shepherds.
Very true. Now, I cannot get over how not a single thing is out of place anytime I come to visit.
Well, I take good care, and the other sisters, especially Sister Dufresne, are very good at helping me put things where they go. And I suppose that being dead and all already means that my memory is not going to get any worse, so I'm doing okay. Did you come and see me for anything in particular, Father? I sense a certain weariness upon your brow.
Matron Mother, I truly wish I was coming for simply a social visit, though. I find my patience is being tried again and again and again.
Is it a hooker again?
No, it's those accursed witches up on the hill.
Oh. I never understood why they let the warlocks in here. We had such a nice place before the warlocks came.
Right? I miss the days of burning them, but that's neither here nor there. They let off the cinnamon scent. They all do. I don't know, you know, it's just...
It's disturbing is what it is.
Yes, but I do like big red gum.
She does not bat an eye. She's just listening to him.
Regardless,
yeah.
I was unfortunately, well, I take that back. I thought that she might have been possibly converted over to the guiding light of the ways of the Mother Prophet and our Lord and Savior, Jesus. But instead, she ridiculed the bus ride, even though public transportation is the safest form of transportation
and
in the
this city, we have some of the very best public transportation anywhere.
Exactly. Yet they all seem to want to drive these fancy cars, and they want to like whisk away when there's perfectly good transportation there. And and you know what? The day's going to come where it's going to be gone because nobody's using it, and then they're going to be, you know, without a paddle, and their car or their vehicle or their supernatural conveyance through shadows will not be available, and they'll be like, well, where's the bus? And I'll be like, well, you didn't ride it, so
now you have to walk. You have to walk now. You
have to walk, yes. And sometimes you have to go through Villa Marie, and that's, nobody really wants that. That's for the scum and the rebel, but that's neither here nor there.
The warlocks test your patience.
They do, greatly.
Yes.
So I don't know if you've been keeping up with the current events.
He starts pouring drinks.
I
keep abreast of everything. I remember in 1809, it was, I believe, when we had the first horse-drawn tramway, and that made the news. That was a big thing. I also remember in 1867 when they passed the city ordinance.
Sister, I need you to focus.
Yes. Would your friend like something to drink also?
Yes. He'll have a spot of tea as well. The point being that this Elise, the spawn of the regent, appears to be connected to things that she ought not to be connected to. I myself witnessed her fornicate with a set of twins, and in the process, an entire flock of dead birds fell from the sky.
How is Regent Bartholomew doing?
No, this is his grandson.
Oh, is he regent now?
Yes. There was this whole power vacuum. The whole pyramid broke up.
Where does the time go? Dead birds.
Yes, lots of dead birds.
Well, there was a time where I would have been able to tell you without fail that that was the work of the devil. But we both know that there's no such thing.
Well, when you are the devil,
yes.
I mean...
And certainly we did not do any of these things. You say she was fornicating, and then these dead birds dropped. With twins, you say?
Yes, a boy and a girl. I disposed of the boy. Well, shouldn't say I disposed of the boy. I more or less gave him the option, and he chose the sinner's way out, of course. And so, but now there's only the one of the twins, and I guess the warlocks are keeping her as a pet of some kind. I don't know.
And what vexes you about this, Father? Was it the sex? Was it the incest? Or was it the birds? I'm trying to get the sinning in order here.
It's kind of a combination of the three. You see,
What was she doing? Was she attempting to communicate with Beelzebub? Was she attempting to what was the purpose of all this rather egregious fornication?
I'm not 100% sure, to be perfectly honest. She just walked in, suddenly looked love drunk, and decided to start fucking right there in the center of the room under the skylight. Now, we all have our shadows and we all have our demons to bear, and this caught the attention of mine in particular, and so if he finds it interesting, I in turn find it interesting. And I did, I have to admit, as we say, choose your timing wisely, and also location. And so I took advantage of that moment to press her. And I found that she is quite the easy egg to crack.
Oh, they usually are. Those warlocks are so high-strung all the time.
I think she's the opposite of high-strung. She's the
Low-strung?
epitome of loose, but...
Is she a loosey-goosey floozy?
Very much so. And I preach to the streetwalkers. I'm just saying.
She turns and looks at your friend. What do you make of all this?
Yes, what do you make of all this?
Well, sister, I started telling him about Brother Andre the other night, but we were rudely interrupted. I think it's probably time you tell him about the Death Dreamer.
Oh, and there was something else that happened. Speaking of dreams, that just jogged the old memory a little bit. I saw myself sitting upon a concrete throne amidst a pile of corpses, and I can't exactly say that I was distressed by the image.
Yeah, he knows. Well, that is distressing. But, nevertheless, I guess it is perhaps time to tell you a few things then, Father. Do you have a few moments to give me your attention?
For you, Matron Mother, I have decades.
Very well. I don't think it'll take that long, but you never know. Sometimes my mind wanders. Have I ever spoken to you of a French mage named Trois Echelles?
Probably, but I wasn't paying attention.
Well, let me educate you. Meanwhile, Crosstown. Arkham, you've arrived at Expo 67, not Expo 67, but at, damn it, what's it called? The Habitat 67. The apartment where you had found Sister Fallacy. And the funny thing is that today I was going through the images that I needed, and I was like, I'm not going to need Habitat 67 again. They're never going to go back there. And so I took it out, and now you went there. So there's no pictures for you.
Well, if you let me shenan once. And y'all know the rest. Keep going, Blake.
Next one who says shenanigans, I'm going to pistol whip.
Ooh.
You pull up, you look, there's no light in the apartment. You can see that there's a yellow do not cross police tape. A piece of it is flapping in the wind.
I cross, obviously.
You go in?
Oh, yeah, we're going in. Full inside, yes.
You open the door and you go in. The place is pretty much as you left it, except that there are those little yellow plastic things with numbers on them that the cops put down for, clues and things of that nature. And there's some chalk lines that are kind of half gone now from where the body was, or parts of the bodies were throughout the bathroom and all that. There's still the blood sort of everywhere. Bloody footprints and the whole 9 yards, and you are transported quite readily to that Wild and Crazy Nights, which was days, nights, weeks ago at this point. It's starting to all kind of blend together. But you walk into the room. What would you like to do?
The first thing that Arkham does is he takes a CD from his car, and it's a greatest hits CD of Prince. And I'm pretty sure there's something in there that he can play. And he goes to track 7, which is actually track 7 on that list. It's Diamonds and Pearls from Prince. And he lets that blast as he kind of like walks through the apartment, trying to take himself back to that night.
Mm-hmm.
He goes into the bathroom at the scene that was painted where the ghoul was.
Mm-hmm.
Is whatever, semantics. And he takes a moment to look at that art. He kind of has the same feeling as he did when he was at Narcissus' apartment and he saw that painting.
Mm-hmm.
Once he leaves the bathroom, he wants to go into the bedroom to see if there's any personal effects of Marines.
Yeah, you would. There's most of the stuff would have been taken, but you can still find a few things kind of hanging around. Sorry, I want to make sure I heard you correctly. If there are personal effects of Maria?
Sister Fal, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Right?
So you would find a few things.
Okay. Anything specific? He's looking for something that feels like it's heartfelt, personal. Something that would bring a smile to her face.
I would say that you find there's some art material maybe that's left behind, like some brushes or there's an old sketchbook, things of that nature. There would be something you could find that would probably bring a little smile to her sad face.
He grabs those. He looks for a clean blanket because she will not be using any of mine in my apartment.
Yeah, there's the bedding is fairly untouched, unscathed.
Perfect. Is there anything here that looks like it connects to? I'm going to say it wrong. Saldana Soriana.
Soriana? No, you don't seem
Soriana.
to find anything that connects to her.
Okay. Perfect. He goes back into the bathroom. Her painting, this is directly on the tile, or was this on canvas or paper?
Yeah, it was on the wall, so there would be tile, mostly being a bathroom. There would probably be a little bit of just regular wall kind of covering whatever would be in a place like that. They're fairly old buildings, so.
Got it.
Are you thinking of trying to rip some of it out, basically, and take with you?
100%.
As you're ripping things out and breaking the walls and doing all that stuff, you hear the front door close.
Whomever you are, I am a friend of the person who lived here. I'm grabbing some of her personal effects Please don't do this.
You hear nothing for a moment, then the music stops.
To use my heightened senses, do I feel as though that this is not a mortal?
You sense a kindred in the other room. On this
Listen,
CD,
if you want,
on this
go ahead.
CD of yours, Ian, what would be like the most grooviest, down and dirty Prince? Hearing it.
Oh, it's 100%. Let's go crazy. 100%. Let's go crazy.
That starts playing.
Yeah. Smile comes to Arkham's face and he goes, "You either want to fight or fuck. Which one?"
I was rather hoping we could have a discussion.
You put on the wrong song.
Depends on the type of discussion.
Seems like we're fucking. And he walks out.
As you step out, you see the always fetching, enticing, and inebriating form of Anaika Toussaint, the primogen of your clan.
Oh, you definitely put on the wrong song, Primogen, if you want to have a conversation.
No, it's still young.
It is. What can I do for you?
Are you remodeling?
Collecting. Why?
Well, it seems a little hands-on for you, Arkham.
I've had to get my hands, excuse me, dirty recently. More than I'd like, but still had fun.
I've heard of your exploits. In fact, I've seen video of it. It's messy.
And what did it do for you, Madame Toussaint?
It made me wish that you were better behaved.
Really? That much better behaved?
Yes, you went a little overboard, Arkham. Would you like to have a seat?
Please.
And she sits down very, very dignified and very, very sultry without trying to be. She crosses her legs and she puts her hands on her thigh and she looks at you and she goes, "What are we going to do with you? I get the feeling that we need some sort of intervention."
Why? I don't seem to be addicted to anything. What type of intervention? I'm interested.
Arkham, how did your discussion with the prince go this evening?
It went exactly like our prince wanted. I left embarrassed, with a task and less of station. Perfect night for the clan.
Well, I hear one of ours was elevated, the Harpy.
Yeah.
Oh, but not
She
you.
was.
But not you, so that stings a little, Arkham.
It stings very much so. Plus, Arkham, Olivier, Harpy does not really ring a bell. So you win some, you lose some.
Thank you, Grit Hit Conicles, for the raid. We appreciate you. Hey, Cujo, what's up?
Ow! What's up, Cujo? Hey, girly.
Can we get to the heart of the matter, Arkham? I am having difficulty understanding exactly what our dear prince is attempting to do. She seems to be a little bit more haphazard than usual, and it's starting to concern me.
Concern? Please,
I'm sure you are aware that the rise of Corinne to the position of prince was not unanimous, that it came through some last-minute deal-making with the Ventrue, and that in this deal-making, Corinne had to pretty much give up a lot to get what she wanted.
I am aware.
That is why we are saddled with not only a Ventrue Primogen, but also a Ventrue Peacekeeper and a Ventrue Seneschal. On top of this, in addition to this, I'm hearing a lot of talk about our Seneschal often traveling to Quebec City. I wonder why that is. Do you have any idea?
I heard Quebec has good poutine. Maybe that's what it is.
I don't think Thomas Strathcona is traveling to Quebec City for poutine, and if you waste my time with one more inane comment like this conversation is going to be over and you're going to be left out on your own once more, because right now the prince wants nothing to do with you and you're lacking very much in friends. And this is why I'm here. I'm here to offer you a hand in friendship.
My dear Primogen, I would love nothing more than your hand in friendship, but not at the cost of my sanity and my pride. If you want me to do something, all you have to do is ask. I'm more than capable of getting my hands dirty, if that's what you're looking for a price, or favor, or boon, whatever the masquerade likes to call it.
What's happened to you, Arkham? I don't remember you being so mercenary about things.
The truth?
No, please lie to my face.
What would be more fun for you, Primogen? I am offering my hand in this moment.
Then, please.
Arkham stands up. He goes to the stereo, puts it over to track 11. Prince's Purple Rain begins to play. Primogen, have I ever told you how I came to be?
I'm aware of some of it, but I don't know the salient details.
It's a long time ago. It's 100 years or so. Knock came rapping on my door. Small, meek face. In the cold. Needing help. No, my first mind told me to turn that away, because what could a child need at this hour in the middle of a storm? Where are the parents? Why are they by themselves? But my heart told me to let them in, and I did. I offered them warmth. I offered them comfort. I offered them kindness. And you know what I got in return? This, and his fangs descend. My kindness was taken for weakness, my dear Primogen. And that is a lesson that I had to learn in a very hard way. And you know what, my dear Primogen, this entire ordeal has reminded me why I'm as mercenary as you say. I'm tired. I'm tired of station being provided to people who are willing to kiss the hand of someone who is not willing to raise it against anyone. I was asked to do something, I provided it. Yes, there was blood, but fuck. It was still fun. So I'm tired. And in the midst of everything, asked, provided my hand, extended out, beauty, bliss, art, power, was presented on a silver plate. I was looked at as a problem, as an issue, as a child. I never wanted to hurt anyone. I never wanted to be anyone's weekend time. I only wanted to see us dancing in a purple rain. So, Primogen, you tell me what it is that you want from me.
Prince always gets you, doesn't he? Was there a greater genius than Prince? Was there a more petty mind than Prince? Are you familiar with this famous moment of his at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, was it?
Oh, my Primogen, trust me, I have studied it. A man is asked to present his talents to a crowd that would not recognize him in publication. Some of the greatest guitarists were named, and Prince was not yet one person on that list when he should have been number one. So what did he do? He went out and, between me, you, and the birds, put his dick on the table and then left, tossing the guitar in the air. Some say still has not come down to this day. Yes, Primogen, I know.
And this, Neither Arkham Olivier, is why I believe you're the perfect man for the job I have in mind. However, before this job can be done, we're going to need to do a little makeover. We're going to need to give you a little bit of that queer eye for the she arches an eyebrow queer guy.
You know me so well. What's wrong? My shoes don't match my belt. What is it?
Oh, I honestly don't care what you're wearing. You could be out here wearing nothing but Ziploc bags and it wouldn't affect me either way. What we need to rehabilitate is your courtly manners, your courtly presence, your social status.
I'm listening.
Good. Can we play this track one more time?
This one specifically or something more fitting?
This is business, Olivier.
Doesn't have to be, Primogen.
We're rehabilitating you here, not making you worse. Go and put this song back on. Come back here and listen to me.
Absolutely.
Good boy.
He goes and he replays the song.
Meanwhile, in a bar. The evening has gone fairly well. Martin, your guest, is very intelligent, very well spoken, very lively, very engaging. He asks a lot of questions, is very curious about you. The discussion moves from topic to topic, going from again the discussion of the erotica he's been writing and that you wish to publish, and some other things, also some of his other interests, as well as some of your interests, a little bit of your background in New York, things of that nature. Nothing beyond what you would expect a discussion like this to be about. At this point, a couple hours have gone by. You get the sense that he's enjoying the discussion. You kind of get the feeling that whatever, audition thing this was is probably done with. Like you get the feeling he's probably gonna let you publish his work. What's at this point going through your mind, and what is it that you're thinking? Are you thinking about the door? Are you thinking about hanging? Like, well, what's going through your mind? What's happening with Lila right now?
I think Lila is fairly comfortable with the idea that the business dealings have gone well, and fairly mindful of the fact that things around her recently have not gone super well. So this is like a high that she needed. This is a win she was looking for. So she is sort of looking to leave on this high note. Because it's always better to make 2 good short impressions than 1 long impression that goes a little sour at the end. So I do think she's starting to look for a way out. I do think there's also a trick that she is well aware of in places like this, and that she has probably already put in motion, and that is that she has ordered a scorpion bowl, which is for 2 people. They will not serve it to 1 person. Comes with 2 straws. But you can't actually see through the straw, so you can't tell how much the other person's drinking, which has allowed Martin to get a little bit tipsier, which makes things a little bit easier for her. So she's just trying to keep the energy up and look for a good moment to leave.
As then the conversation's going, you're got one eye on the door, and you're kind of trying to find a moment that would not be too awkward to kind of step out on. He leans back and says, "I quite like you, Miss Lila. You're a fascinating individual, and of course I had done my research and I knew that you were so. But to meet you finally in the flesh is very interesting, and I'm very." How do you say, comfortable and heartened with the idea that my writings could be in your hands. Of course, there's the matter of the anonymity of the stories. I wish to ensure that this is maintained. The secrecy must be maintained at all costs. It could do my actual career as an academic some harm if it were found out that I was in fact writing these dirty little ditties.
But of course, we have several authors who write under a pseudonym. Yours would not be a special case.
But you will guarantee that there will not be any leaks?
Oh, I can guarantee. In fact, we have some people on staff whose entire job it is to make sure that no one can track you back. Not me, of course. I'm trash at such things, but what you can't do, you pay others to.
That's very interesting. It must be reassuring to have such people on staff that can help you disappear and help someone hide their true identity.
Well, in these days, people do tend to be internet sleuths. If they perceive any sense of mystery, it's only so long before someone's off trying to play the bloodhound.
Indeed. Well, I don't expect that. Well, I don't know. Perhaps I shouldn't be telling you this, of course, but I don't know how long I may be writing these stories still right now. They still interest me and fascinate me, and the dreams are still coming. But it is possible that I do have a backlog, as you say. I have perhaps 10 tales written already.
Wonderful.
But I would not want to make a promises I can't deliver on.
Oh, I understand. Inspiration is such a fickle mistress.
Indeed. And then there's my other work to consider also that I do have to spend some time on. Some people I want to interview here in Montreal. Tell me, have you ever read any of Georges Bataille's work?
I am passingly familiar.
The thing that interests me about him is that he believed that in order to achieve enlightenment, it was important for a man to how do you say, cut off his head? That logic and intelligence were our enemy, that we needed to rely on our passion and instinct and our primal urges. It's fascinating. He had his disciples make a pact that one of them would offer themselves up as sacrifice so that the others could elevate themselves above mankind. but they couldn't quite decide who would be the sacrifice. You see, they all wanted the honor. Can you imagine that? The thought that you had to kill another human, in fact, become a predator of humanity to elevate yourself? Can you imagine that?
I can. I feel like I know people who live very much by that sort of standard. That said, didn't he have the issue where none of them would do it? They all wanted to die, but no one would go to jail for it?
And that, I think, is the interesting conundrum at the heart of Georges Bataille's philosophy, is that what is required to achieve what he wanted to achieve is something that, by our very nature, we are not willing to do. I think that to be able to accomplish what Georges Bataille wanted to accomplish, one would need to cease being human.
An interesting thought. I will note, though, that when he couldn't get anyone to do the deed, they did turn to sacrificial orgies, so interesting that you're on a similar path, no?
Is that what you think this is all leading to?
Well, much like your name suggests, you do seem to be a person at war with yourself. Your intellect versus your smutty little stories, your need for this profound philosophy and something to let off the steam, I suppose.
Am I so different than anybody else?
I think not.
Am I so different than you?
Again, I don't think so.
Do you have a wild side? You seem to be very collected and very well put together, as they say. Do you sometimes do things that are a little perhaps more dangerous?
Well,
and again, I want to stress that you don't feel any sexual thing coming from him. Like, he's totally like purely intellectual curiosity, everything he's asking you.
Well, I mean, I do publish my own stories as well. I would encourage you to read some sometime.
Perhaps you would send me some.
Oh, I would be delighted.
I would love to read them. I believe very firmly that there comes a time in any encounter with a lovely person where to stay but 1 minute longer would destroy everything that has come before. And I think we have perhaps just about nearly reached that point. Would you agree with me?
I do think it's been a delightful evening, but yes, it has been a delight. And hopefully we shall have many more in the future.
Absolutely. I do have a question for you. I think I have sent you a couple of emails, and I keep sending them. Your assistant says I keep sending them to the work email instead of yours. Would it be okay if I corrected that and add a way to contact you personally?
Of course.
All right. Would you mind giving me? He reaches into his jacket and he pulls out a small black leather-bound book. And as you see it, you recognize the black fleur-de-lis that is embossed on the cover. The pages of it, as he opens it and pulls out his pen, are made of actual vellum. Inside the cover, you can see the words Exultatio in Inanis engraved.
Oh,
he opens the book. It's very
notebook.
small. It's very, very, very small. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you like it. It's been with me for quite a while. I only put the important things in it. Would you mind if I had perhaps a number or email address?
Of course, and I will furnish him the email address. But I do look with interest at how he's writing it.
He just writes her name and just whatever information you gave him. You do notice that some of the other writings in the book are in a very similar cipher to what you've seen before. As he writes it down, it's like, and he closes it and he says, "No worries, you're in my book now."
Oh, wonderful.
And he gets up and he says, "It was lovely making your acquaintance, and I do so look forward to seeing you again, Miss Lila." And he takes your hand and he gives it a little shake, picks up his little red book. And as he does this, everybody else in the bar stops talking. Everyone gets up. Everyone turns to look at you. All as one. He leaves, pushing his way through them. And as he does, everyone else, in silence, starts to file behind him. The patrons, the waiters and waitresses, the bartenders, everyone, until you are sitting there alone. Even the piano player is gone.
Well, that went well.
What do you do?
I think Lila is slightly perturbed, but perhaps more for show than anything. I think at this point she is a little shaken, but she knows that anybody else in her situation would be much more shaken than she actually is. So she is putting on a show of being shaken. And she's gonna pull out her phone and clutch it the way that, she has seen women clutch their keys when they're walking home. Like it's a lifeline. Even though she's not especially scared because she's not surrounded, there aren't people coming at her. And she doesn't think she's misstepped too badly, but she is now replaying the entire night in her head and wondering, what the hell? As she leaves.
And as you approach the front of the bar, almost at the door, you see through the front window, standing just outside, looking at you with that infuriating little smile on his lips, is your sire, James Buxton. Hands in his pocket, his smile growing as he sees you noticing him.
I think she just has a look of great distaste as she makes for the door. Like, she's rushing now to try and get to him, but she knows he'll probably be gone when she gets out there.
You rush out, push through the door, step out onto the cold sidewalk of Montreal's winter night. And there he is, standing there, looking at you. Hello, Lila.
James.
It's been a while.
It has. I thought it would be a while longer.
I see you've been getting comfortable in my things, my place, my people.
My things, my place, my people.
Shall we take a walk?
If we must.
Come here.
She'll follow him. She'll stop. She'll wait and then step closer just to prove that she can.
He lifts up his arm and offers it to him.
Very daintily, she will put her hand on his.
My. It's like we were never apart.
Almost.
Now tell me about your little meeting with Monsieur Martin as you walk on down the sidewalk into the dark Montreal night. Meanwhile, back at the church, at the nunnery, You see, it was a very long time ago in Montreal that a number of us came to follow Monsieur Trois Echelles, the French mage. There were 7 of us that would follow him. He had this fascination with number 7. This was before I was as I am now. He had this way of looking at the world. He believed that beyond our 5 senses, we had what he called facultés, 7 other senses beyond the 5. He called them eroticism, magic, light, darkness, logic, passion, and death. These, he said, were the gifts of gods, but that most of us had lost the ability to fully feel them or embrace them. We all became sort of devoted to his ideals. He had this notion of a utopia, a city where those like him could come. He'd been sent here to build a kingdom for his king, but he'd found these 7 places of power throughout the city that he called the Silver Sisters, and he wanted 7 of us to represent them. This was built on the idea of the 7 hills of great cities like Constantinople and Rome, so he chose 7 of us to be his disciples, but he drew the attention of a Canaanite. And soon after became one himself. At this point, he became dedicated to building a sort of Elysium in Montreal, a place where all Canaanites who sought enlightenment could come to elevate themselves in peace and harmony, to achieve the higher purpose he felt we were destined for, to leave behind the beast and that one fatal flaw that we have. In time, he changed. He delved too far into the mysticism of the abyss, and it changed him. But I believe he lives on now in our dreams. If he dreams hope and light, we prosper. If he dreams death and decay, then but I believe he was very close to achieving the heightened state of Golconda. I believe he is what is making us all mad and what is making this city fall apart and decay beneath our very own feet. Have you had strange dreams, Father?
From time to time.
What do you dream about?
Death, mostly.
Hmm.
And then I have dreams, I think, of acts I have no memory of committing.
You may be experiencing other people's dreams or memories as your own. If the death dreamer is connected to everyone's dreams, but unable to keep them separate, then people's dreams may be crossing over to other people.
My own dreams are hard enough to keep track of. This could prove problematic.
And at some point, you'll stop remembering where you begin and where somebody else ends.
I think at that, he looks out of the corner of his eye at his own shadow.
He's got a shit-eating grin on his face. Tell him about Brother Andre.
Yes. Why do I want to tell them about Brother Andre?
No, he says that to
Oh,
the mother to you. Oh, Brother Andre, he was a saint. many believe he was one of ours, a Malkavian, but he was not. He simply hid among us for fear of what others would do to him if they found him. He has been known to move around the city in different guises. He's had several names. And then your shadow says the Rat King. Yes, the Rat King was one of them.
the Rat King was one of who?
One of Brother Andre's personas.
Well, the Rat King has come and said hello to me. Well, its minions have.
The Rat King has reached out to you.
But a Rat King is... regardless.
Did he seem to know things about you that none should?
His lessers did. I don't know what you call baby rats.
Father, you have a wonderful memory full of the history of this place, the stories of this place, the way this place used to be and how it transformed and what it is now. You are very much, in essence, the chronicler of this place, or could be, if you are seeing other people's dreams. You could very well write the most complete story of the city that anyone could ever dream of writing.
Yes. I could.
If the Rat King has reached out to you, you may want to lend him your ear. And remember, Father, not all things that we see are real, and we can't see all the real things. Sometimes, an idea is so powerful that it takes form in our world and affects things.
Good to know. Although I'm not fasting for 7 days, he can get fucked. Anyway.
Well, perhaps you should reach out to him.
Oh, I intend to. I intend to.
And, Father.
Yes, Major Mother.
The advantage of being the chronicler of a place, that you get to decide what goes in the book and what doesn't.
History's written by those who win.
Or at least those who know how to write.
Not many, I'm found. They just come up with this whole new language now. There's like no vowels in it whatsoever.
Next thing you know, they'll be talking in pictures and short little videos.
We did that once, and it didn't hold, and now we're back to it again. Everything that's old is new, I suppose.
Everything's a cycle. And if Trois Echelles was here before, he may be here now.
Yes. Well, Matron Mother, should you ever decide to take a nap, I would be more than happy and quite honored to help facilitate this.
I may be calling upon you soon. I feel quite tired these days.
Well, we all know I can keep sleepers protected.
Just don't come in my dreams, Father. I don't think I could handle that.
Never in your dreams, only on your face, Matron Mother. I'd give you parting wisdom myself. Don't sweat the petty things and don't pet the sweaty things. Now, I have a sermon to give.
I apologize for him, Matron Mother. I'm trying to teach him to be a little bit more respectful of his elders and mindful of civilized, well, you know, like acting correctly and all, but it's hard.
You're one to talk.
She looks at him and goes, "You're doing God's work." He's like, Is that what I'm doing? Who knows? We'll know by the end. But good enough for me. Well, Padre, number 25 bus is going to pass in 7 minutes and 54 seconds.
Shit. Okay, summon next week. Interesting question, though. Block print or Old English font?
Papyrus.
Comic Sans.
Wingdings. Sorry.
Meanwhile, one more thing. As you get up to leave, you notice something you had never really noticed before. On the wall near the door is a painting. And for the first time, you realize that it's a painting of the young mother. You notice for the first time that this strange painting of this nun, done, as far as you know, in the 1600s, is that of the mother.
So that's what she looks like.
I was much younger back then.
That's okay. And he turns and he looks.
More spry also.
You were beautiful then and beautiful now. But more importantly, the most important thing.
You're gonna say something terrible, I just know it.
No, I have seen the face of the mother, and those who wish to have seen it have not, and they will suffer for it. Comic Sans it is.
And on that note, back at the home of the Regent, or perhaps somewhere else in some other strange world, you are taking a walk through a beautiful garden, Elise, the cloak around your shoulders, the nun clutching her red book, walking along with you. She says, you know, Montreal was in the grasp of the Catholic Church for a very long time. Citizens were kept bound and slaves to the will of the church. If you were a married woman who had not given birth in the past 16 months, you could expect a visit from the parish priest who would make sure things were rectified. It was in the 70s that there was a revolution, a quiet revolution they called it. The city moved away from this religious prison. This man you were looking for, the mage Trois Echelles, his dream from the start was just that. He sought to establish a city based on concepts of natural power, of magic and liberty, of pleasure and freedom. He fought all his life for it, and in the end he was driven mad. Do you know what you seek? If it drove him mad, do you not fear the same for yourself?
You know, some already say that I am mad. How could one even tell the difference? Plus, if I were to go mad, would I even know?
I believe that in some way, shape, or form, those who are blessed with knowledge beyond that which normal people can attain are aware of being special in some way. These people you are looking for, the Headless Man is in your orbit now. There's another one reaching for him first, but he'll come to you in time. Last one, the Ashen Crow. cannot come to you because he doesn't know he's needed. You'll have to find him. You have to look for the red book somewhere below.
Somewhere below.
You've done and seen so much. Those you have found, keep them close. Their fate is yet undecided. They may be your condemnation or your salvation. There's something you should see. And as she says that, you turn a corner and you see Mount Royal. And up on Mount Royal, where there normally is the one cross, you see 3 of them lit up brightly. You find yourself up there on one of them. Looking down at the city below, you feel the tattoos on your chest amalgamated into a symbol. The symbol is burned into your mind. You watch as Maria, Marjolaine, and Laurence appear. They pull you off the cross. They wash you. They wrap you in a shroud. As they do, you look up at the mountain. You see the 3 crosses, and on them you see 3 ladders. The ladders used to hammer, for the soldiers to climb up to hammer the victims on the crosses. The 3 ladders on Golgotha. You seek enlightenment, Golconda, as you are being wrapped in the shroud by the 3 other women. Trois Echelles achieved it. Yes, he in time became, like you, an immortal of the night. He found a way to enlightenment, and then he was killed. But his dreams permeate this place. They've been guiding this place since then, but his path was interrupted. Now someone has to finish what he started. At the end of the road lies his secret to salvation. But salvation requires sacrifice. And as she says that, the last piece of the shroud is wrapped around your face. You come to, you are being pulled off of the ropes where you've been hanging most of the night. Marjolaine, Laurence, and Maria are taking you off the ropes very carefully, unbinding you, untying the knots, lowering you slowly to the ground. You see on the ground nearby, you see Fletcher. You see that wounds have opened on his body. He's been bleeding. He's lying in a crumpled heap.
She kneels at his side and runs her hands over him, unfurling him. Where are the wounds on him?
They are all over. They appear to be wounds that someone might get from a lashing, perhaps. A lot of them are on his back and on his chest.
I think with a wave of her hand, she dismisses the others from the room. Leave us. You've done your part.
They hesitantly, but eventually stand up and leave the room, closing the door behind them. You catch a brief glimpse of Faraday in the other room, a bit of concern on his face as the door closes.
Kneeling at his side, unfurling him, opening him to her, she brings her lips to his chest and she begins to lick each wound, cleaning it carefully, making her way to his ear. Can you hear me, my love? It's time to wake up.
A bit of a smile comes in the corner of his mouth, and he says, "You're still here with me, then?"
Always.
I'm afraid I'm going to need as much air now as I usually give you. I don't know what happened, but I'm just glad you're okay.
I saw the sister again.
As you say this, you see like a bit of light come back into his eyes, and he's like kind of focusing again.
You did it. You clever, clever man. But
We did
only
We did
it
it.
wasn't the sister. It was Maria. She took me to the mountain with a cross.
Our Maria?
Maria. They were all there with me. Eventually.
Did you see anything else? Did she say anything else? What do you reckon? Did you get guidance? Do you know where you have to go next?
I'm afraid so. We're going to have to go inside the earth, my love. Deep down into hell to get what we want. Are you ready? Are you ready to fall with me?
As long as it's with you.
How about we get you cleaned up? Nice and proper. And I think she stands and moves towards the basin of water she keeps in her room.
He props himself up a little bit, looks at you. So that's what this feels like.
What's that, my love?
Giving everything to the other one, knowing that it's in the safest hands possible.
I'll always take care of you.
Always
She
have.
begins dunking the sponge into the water.
And on that, my friends, on that quiet little bath, little sponge bath, we come to an end for this season, this stretch of Black Pentecost, VtM Montreal. Thank you so much, my players. It's been so much fun playing with you all. I look forward to coming back to this particular series with all your characters and seeing where you go with what you've just been laid at your feet. You were all so amazing. You all did things that surprised me and amazed me, and it was just a joy to sit here and watch you be these characters and watch you bring them to life. This entire first arc was really about that, bringing the characters to life and letting you find them and find their voices and kind of start inhabiting them. And it was beautiful to see that happen. And even Maria, who had a bit of a truncated run, I think you managed in that short amount of time, and as someone who'd never played vampire before, to make a very indelible character. And so thank you very much for that. We look forward to the next series with all of you. Next week we'll begin another one that takes place in the Undercity, which, since we're on the subject of the Undercity, there's a little coda to tonight's game. that I will give you, and then we will go ahead and make some introductions for these fine players. A limping figure emerges from behind a wall in the room. The prince looks at the figure's reflection in the windows, but doesn't turn. "Take that stupid thing off," she says. The figure points at the crown of wires made from several hangers twisted into form on his head. "You mean my crown, your majesty? Take that stupid thing the fuck off," she growls. After a moment, the figure exhales. "No." Corinne Van Horn turns slowly to stare at the figure, who stares back. He's even more misshapen than she remembers, and that crown on his head makes him look even more grotesque and insane. The staring contest continues for a while. Eventually, the figure sighs and removes the crown. He drops it to the ground, where it bounces, then rolls to the middle of the room, clattering on the marble floor. "Of course, your majesty," he says between clenched teeth. Van Horn doesn't smile. "You heard everything. What do you think?" "It worked perfectly. Never planned between such a beauty as Toreador and such a despicable sewer rat bore such sweet fruit." "God, you annoy me," Van Horn said, turning to the window. "And here I thought I was beginning to win you over with my wit and charm." "Enough. Things went well, though I didn't expect one of them to get embraced and one killed. Send a Malkavian and a member of the ministry to do a sane person's job. It can still work, though. Whatever Fletcher and his house cat are cooking up will need a close watch. The Tremere house is falling apart. The warlocks are going to get desperate. When she comes to me, I'll guide her along safely." "See that you do," Van Horn said, a hand reaching up to touch the glass, the span of her fingers covering the entire city at her feet. After all, we have a city's destruction to see through. And so, my friends, we will carry on over to Demimonde, but before we celebrate these wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people who helped bring this game to life, thank you so much